Hey YouTube, Coppersan here. In the previous video I was talking about how to prepare for hyperburning, but I never talked about which classes are great burning candidates. So here we are today, and for those of you unaware, hyperburning will grant you 2 additional level ups every time you level up, all the way to level 250. So this is a great time to start working on a new main, a bossing mule or a legion mule for those endgame maplers. The burning event will start in November, and while we don't have the exact date yet, we can expect this event to start on the 16th of November in MapleStory Global at least. I divided this video in 3 parts, one for the maplers looking for a new main, those looking for bossing mules, and those looking to min-max their legion. Because the Night of Sickness remaster is happening around the same update, there will be additional rewards for those looking to level up a new Night of Sickness, which are mostly node stones and some symbol selector coupons. You don't have to burn a Night of Sickness if you don't want to though. In this video I'll share some suggestions and point you hopefully in the right direction for picking a class to burn. So for those maplers looking to burn a new main, first and foremost I would look into a class that you'll think you'll just enjoy grinding the most. While bossing is an important part of gear progression and endgame, you'll spend most of your time destroying monsters and jumping around in your designated training map. Thanks to there being so many classes in MapleStory though, there should be something for everyone. Do you perhaps prefer to train relying more on summons and you actually want to think a bit, strategize a bit about how to train the most efficiently? Then perhaps the Corsair, Mechanic, Battle Mage and Lara classes could be of your interest. Those all heavily rely on summons to do most of the work for them while they're grinding. If you prefer a simple playstyle, check out classes like the remastered Dawn Warrior, Shade, Jet, Wind Archer, Paladin, Hero, Buccaneer, Night Lord or Aaron, just to name a few. I think most classes will fit in the somewhat simple, easy to play playstyle, where you're just jumping around and attacking while using a different skill occasionally. Personally, I like this type of grinding the most because I don't need to think that much and I'm just grinding. You know, I can watch something on the side for that maple and chill. I think out of the remastered Night of Sickness, most maplers will enjoy the simple and flashy playstyle of the Dawn Warrior. If you want to be extra lazy, you could also check out classes like the Ice Lightning Mage, Luminous, Pathfinder or Hayato. These classes generally don't even move around too much when they're mobbing, which makes it super chill to train them to level 250. If you prefer to go hard or go home, then check out classes like Arc, Cadena, Blaster, Kane, Mercedes, Evan or Hoyoung. These classes all like to make sure that every button on your keyboard gets some love when you're mobbing. These are just a handful of classes that MapleStory has to offer, and because hyperburning is still some time away, it actually wouldn't hurt to already create a class that you're interested in and work your way up to level 200 and get the 5th job advancement. That way you can at least get a good feel of what a class actually plays like after the 5th job advancement, you know, because that's where you'll be spending most of your time. You can make existing characters above level 200 burning as well with this hyperburning event, and you'll still get all rewards, so there isn't any disadvantage in actually just trying out the class first. I also have videos on every single class on the channel if you want to check out some of the classes, their basic mechanics and gameplay. Just one final tip though, even though you'll be spending most of your time grinding, do at least look into how a class bosses. If the grinding is really amazing for you, but you really dislike the way a class goes about bossing, that could be a potential turn-off for your new main. For example, some classes like Arc and Cadena rely a lot on animation cancelling when bossing, or while the Fire Poison Mage is an amazing mobber, it's a bit of a glass cannon when bossing without the proper 5th job nodes. Other classes like Night Lords really need to have a few levels under their belt before they really start feeling good when bossing, so this shouldn't be a problem when you're hyperburning, but it might not feel that amazing if you're just quickly checking out the class at level 200. The next part of this video is for that group of maplers that already have a main that they're happy with and just want to go for another high level bossing mule. Grinding comes second and bossing comes first for those maplers, and similar to how you would go around with picking a main, some classes specialize in different ways of bossing than others. If there are more supportive classes like the Battle Mage, the Bishop, the Paladin, the Beasttamers and the Kanas who all have excellent supportive skills. All of those are very decent grinders as well by the way, or if you prefer to be tanky and have a lot of utility, there are classes like Shade, Paladin again, Dark Knight, Demon Avenger, Demon Slayer, Phantom, Michiel. The Michiel class I'm actually gonna be hyperburning myself. This class has a unique parry mechanic that will make you invincible for a few seconds when timed right. It isn't easy to use because you need to know the boss mechanics, but I just love the idea of being invincible for most of a boss fight. Most of the tankier classes do not provide the most damage, but with all the recent buffs and remasters, any class can deal with the boss. Some do require a bit more funding or a bit more setup, but most classes are pretty close to each other unless they really have opposite specialities. For example, you're not comparing a Night Lord's damage to the damage of a mule. That just doesn't make sense, because one is a glass cannon and the other one is more of a tank. If you want to have a class that excels at bossing even without a lot of Legion and Links, check out classes like the Paladin, Marksman, Dual Blade, Buccaneer, Adele or the Eyes of Lightning Mage. I would say which class you pick here is kinda dependent on how much you plan to build up your account. For example, Dual Blade doesn't need a lot of Legion or Link skills when bossing and works well as a bossing mule up to Lotus and Damien. But afterwards you could, for example, also job change into a Shadow of Night Lord once you've built up your account a bit more and prefer to switch up your playstyle. This is one of the advantages of having an Explorer class bossing mule. If you prefer the bossing style of an Ice Lightning Mage but the grinding of a Bishop, you can freely swap between those for the cost of either Mesos or a job change coin. This can get really expensive though, it gets pricey really fast, so do keep that in mind. If you prefer classes that rely a lot on their burst, there are classes like Night Lord, the by then remastered Nightwalker, Ho-Young, Hero, Kane and Arc. You can also go for a mix of burst and support, like with the Raar class, that's more up your alley. I also want to highlight a special type of classes that can cheese boss fights. Wind Archer, Marksman and Dual Blade all have summons that can distract the boss, which can make some boss fights super easy. And classes like Ilium, Beast Tamer and Jet can fly around in the map while attacking, which can be a real cheese during some boss fights. Ice Lightning Mages can also slow bosses down, and some classes like Hayato and Zero can mini bind bosses every so often. Whenever you're picking a bossing mule, definitely pick something that you're comfortable on though. If you prefer more safety, make sure to check out the class that you want to play has any ways of becoming invincible. And look into how much a class needs before they really start popping off. That way you'll prevent grinding a class to level 250, only to be disappointed when you're bossing because the class has no survivability or requires a certain playstyle that you just don't enjoy. And finally, there are those who want to min-max. This segment is for Maples who are already further into the game and are just looking to get that small stat increase on their main. This is purely focused on your Legion. Classes like Shade, Jet and Hayato can give you an additional critical damage, which can be somewhat of a boost. Or for your class with 4 job and higher skill cooldowns that you want to reduce, check out Mercedes. At level 250, the Mercedes Legion block will reduce skill cooldowns by 6%. Keep in mind though that only with the Ignition update, most hyper skills will be affected by cooldown reduction. That's a change that's coming. If you're an Explorer Magician or of any other class with super important buffs like Xenon or Dual Blade, burning a mechanic could be beneficial. This class level 250 Legion block increases buff duration by 25%, which is a nice boost in damage for some of those classes. And if you're just looking to become the first Mapler to reach level 300, you could also hyperburn a Zero class starting at level 200. Zero's Legion effect increases EXP, and at level 250 you'll get a whooping 12% additional bonus EXP, which is only 2% higher than the level 200 Legion effect. But if you're at that stage of the game, I guess any EXP buff is welcome. I would personally not burn any character that gives boss damage or IED as a Legion effect if you're just looking to get that to level 250, because the difference from level 200 and the level 250 block is only a 1% increase in boss damage or IED, so that isn't really worth it in my opinion. You'll most likely get more benefits from getting that 1% additional critical damage. That's all I had to say though for today. I hope this video helps you make a decision on which class to burn. I got so many videos on every single class's gameplay or low funding bossing mules or those top 5 lists. I would recommend definitely checking those out. And of course there are a lot of other creators as well that will be making similar videos, so make sure to check those out and do your research so you don't end up burning the wrong character. Which class are you going to burn yourself? Let me know in the comments. And that was all for today. As always, many thanks to our members for making these videos possible. Thanks to Niels, Coninck, Raar, maar waar, Sebastian, Hanoy, Ryalias, Terry Kim, Vareese, Mora, Wiley, Historycanon, BackSpaceOTI, Saffronyx, Ziggydeer, Flidiot, Knifesu, Cloudfix, Gusus Rodriguez, Digby, Vira, Trevor, Michael Menchaca, Ratius, Justin Vale, Silvio Nato, Afterlord_MS, Striker Elk, Tide1 Pun, Radical Jaws, Ricer Are Sir Tito 655, Mathias Simonsson, PC Game Life, The Passenger, Martin Panzik, Conrad Crystallis, Ace Light, Mr. Anarch, Ben Wolf, Max Bernhardt, Muka 1017, BMB King, Scotty Flies Fast, Priscilla, Brendon Cam, Vake Botnet, Fecko, Victor Sundstrom, ceemak, Only, Rashid Alharmoudi, Gerlando Belavia, Gianfranco Calderon Canavedo, Lucky Beats, Matthew Def, Gummy Bullet, Lord Fazil and Spuds D. Kaiser. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe and happy mapling!